Today, we're going to break down how one company is planning to not just survive, but actually thrive through some serious economic turbulence. We're going to dig into a recent address from their CFO to really understand the blueprint for their financial fortress.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. This is the question, isn't it? It's on the mind of every investor, every employee, you name it. In an environment that feels this risky, how does a company actually prove it can handle the storm? Well, the leadership knows this is a totally fair question, and they've clearly spent a lot of time thinking about the answer.
And here it is, the core idea, straight from the CFO. Look, this isn't about just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best. It's about a deliberate, planned evolution. The company is actively changing its own DNA to completely alter its risk profile. In other words, we're not talking about a few small tweaks here. This is a major overhaul.
So to really get this, we're going to follow their fortress strategy. First, we'll tackle that downturn question head-on. Then, we'll see how they're diversifying their foundation, reinforcing the walls with capital and some pretty cool new tools, and finally, future-proofing their whole business model. Let's jump in.
The CFO was actually really upfront about this. He admitted that in the last few years, parts of their model have been under a lot of strain. So wondering how they'll hold up in the next downturn is, as he put it, a very reasonable question. And their answer isn't some single silver bullet, but a strategy with a whole bunch of different parts. Right, so pillar number one of this fortress is all about the base. A strong foundation can't just be sitting on one single spot. For this company, that means spreading out the risk by diversifying who they lend to and what kind of products they offer.
Now this is really interesting. What you're looking at here is a shift away from what the CFO called an old mental model. See, in the past, the company got really good at lending to very specific pockets of the risk spectrum. The problem with that? Well, it makes you super vulnerable. If that one specific sector gets hit, you're in trouble. The new reality is all about being broader, more balanced, and a lot less exposed to those kinds of shocks.
And then there's the product side of things. The company basically learned its trade on unsecured loans, which the CFO calls the bottom of the payment waterfall. I mean, it's a great way to learn about risk, but it also puts you in the most vulnerable position when things go south. So now, they're building out their portfolio with secured products, like auto and home loans, which are way more stable. And they're also adding shorter-term products that are just less exposed to big economic bumps in the road.
Okay, so the foundation is now diversified. The next step in building a fortress? You got to reinforce the walls. And this pillar is really about two key things: making sure you have a stable supply of money and building some advanced tools to see danger coming from a mile away and react to it.
You see, in the past, the way the company got its funding was, well, it was a bit shaky. When markets get skittish, as the CFO says, the people providing the capital can get nervous and just pull their funding. That is a huge risk in a downturn. To fix that, they have completely re-engineered their entire capital supply chain.
And wow, this one number just says it all. More than 65% of their funding is now committed. That means it's locked in with long-term partners. It can't just be pulled back on a whim. And get this, that number used to be 0. This is a game changer. It means the money is guaranteed to be there through the whole economic cycle, which gives them incredible stability right when they'll need it most. I really like this quote because it makes the strategy feel more human, It's not just some dry contract, it's a real partnership. Because they're co-investing and have skin in the game, their interests are perfectly aligned with their capital partners. So when the waters get choppy, they're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction.
Now the other part of reinforcing the walls is all about intelligence. For the longest time, the company was just obsessed with picking the right borrower. Now, they've shifted huge resources to get just as good at something else, precisely measuring the entire macroeconomic environment.
And what makes this so powerful is this simple two-step process. It's not just about seeing the storm coming, it's about having the ability to navigate it artfully, as he says, and with precision. This is a massive shift from just reacting to problems to actually getting ahead of them. And here is the proof in the pudding. This isn't just a theory. The CFO states flat out that if they'd had this tooling over the last couple of turbulent years, they would have avoided well north of half of their loan underperformance. I mean, think about that. That's a massive, tangible impact on the bottom line. All right, so we've got a strong foundation and reinforced walls. The final step is to future-proof the entire structure. This third pillar is all about evolving the revenue model itself, so it's less sensitive to the constant ups and downs of the market.
Okay, let's break this down. Right now, the model relies heavily on transaction fees. That's great when business is booming, but it's pretty vulnerable when volume slows down. So the shift is toward more stable, recurring revenue. In the short term, that means servicing fees from their auto loan business. They're also playing around with things like revolving credit and even subscription models. But the big, long-term vision, offering their super advanced AI-driven servicing tech as its own service to the entire industry. A move like that would totally de-link their revenue from their own lending volume. Pretty smart.
So, let's pull all these threads together. You diversify the foundation across customers and products, you reinforce the walls with committed capital and smarter tools, and you future-proof the revenue model. By doing all this, the company is assembling its fortress, piece by piece. These three pillars combine to create a business with a fundamentally different and way more resilient risk profile. The CFO's own words really capture this transformation perfectly. The company is leaving behind its past as a concentrated youngling, as he puts it, with that kind of simplistic view of the economy. It's growing up. It's becoming a mature, diversified, and sophisticated business that's actually designed to navigate complexity. So they've laid out the blueprints. They've assembled all the pieces, the strategy is clear, the tools are in place, the fortress is built. The only question left is the one that only time can answer. When that storm finally hits, will the fortress actually hold?